It offers the prospect of, in a very short period of time, having substantial expansion, access to affordable care, better incentives for how we use health care in a way that is fiscally responsible.
But do you think this is the right way to do business?
I do. I think the legislative process works in mysterious ways in our country, but you have to focus on what the outcomes are, and this is a strong package of reforms.
We're now joined by Jonathan Martin of Politico. J-Mart, thanks for being here.
Teddy?
I want to start with health care. You heard just a moment ago with the senator, I was asking him, if it's signed into law, should Republicans be out there in 2010 promising to repeal it? He sidestepped it twice. What do you think? Do you think we'll hear from the GOP a promise to out and out repeal it, or just try to build on it, make it better?
I think you're going to see a split in the party on that. I mean, there's certainly going to be some elements that are emphatically campaigning on a repeal, but I think that's going to be probably not part of the party platform, though, because I think there are going to be some that don't want to sort of be tagged with that party of no rap. They're going to want to be the party of reform. Let's improve it. Now, that said, in some places in this country, certainly red states come to mind. Wyoming, obviously, is an example of this. I think an out-and-out campaign of let's repeal it will certainly play well.
We certainly saw Democrats campaigning on trying to repeal the Bush tax cuts, though those Bush tax cuts were popular in some sectors as well.
Some places,
as you said,
yep.
It needed calibration. I want to turn your attention to the liberals that are now launching yet another ad,
right.
This Progressive Campaign Change Committee. I always forget the name of this group. But they're now launching this other ad, making the public option fight. Obama gave them that little bit of opening in the Washington Post, and he says in the interview he never campaigned on the public option. I mean, yes, it was on the website, in his platform, but he didn't really campaign on it.
Right.
But he gave him a little opening.
He did, and I think this group and some of the other progressives don't want to be seen as giving it, right? They don't want to be seen as sort of throwing in the towel. And their sort of last-ditch effort is to try and convince one liberal senator to say, all right, you want 60 votes? Well, guess what? I'm not going to be your 60th vote unless public option's in there. Now, there's a reason why it's last ditch. It's probably not going to happen, but there's also a reason why half of this ad buy is taking place in Wisconsin. Their target is to get Russ Feingold, probably besides Bernie Sanders, the most pure liberal in the Democratic caucus. It's not going to happen, David, as you said, that there's almost certainly not going to be a public option in the final bill, but they have to be seen as sort of going down fighting, and that's obviously what they're doing.
When we come back in January, the White House is promising a shift to jobs. What do you think will be part of that broader jobs message that we hear from the White House when they come back in January?
Well, look, talking to White House folks, they recognize they're not going to be able to get any agenda through on Capitol Hill until they address the jobs issue. Members up there are obsessed, for obvious reasons, because many of them are on the ballot next year, with that 10% unemployment level. They have got to be seen both from a perception standpoint and a practical standpoint of doing something about the jobs issue. And that's going to be, I think, besides healthcare, priority number one. But here's their challenge. They also recognize, the White House does, the poll numbers out there about the deficit. You heard Senator Barrasso, right? The debt is the threat. Rhymes pretty well. I mean, I think you're going to see that message coming from the GOP next year, harping on sort of big spending Democrats. So the sort of tightrope the White House has to walk is addressing those members who are screaming for a jobs package, but at the same time trying to improve their own standing when it comes to spending. How do you reconcile those two issues? We're going to find out next year.
Let's talk about a little bit of the timing at the beginning of next year, which a report in Politico today is about how the White House may not be able to deal with health care until after the State of the Union. That is not, I understand the congressional calendar. That is still, my understanding, not their desired plan at all. And I want you to speak a little, if you would. What are the optics of the president going back into the House chamber to give a big speech without having accomplished the thing that the last time he was in the House chamber, giving the big healthcare speech to the nation?
Well, you saw some of the spin in Mike Allen's story today, which was, I think one official said, it's going to be effectively done, right? It's basically going to be wrapped up when he does give that speech next year. I mean, I think that's sort of the hope is it's going to be, among the Washington crowd at least, recognized as a done deal, that it just hasn't been signed yet, hasn't been sort of reconciled, but it's pretty much going to be over. But still, there's no question that coming back, that they wanted to have that big sort of present wrapped up, tied with a bow, and there for the president to sort of talk about it during that speech. And they're probably not going to have that opportunity now because of how the calendar works and just because of how slow these conference committees are. But it's frustrating given the fact that we're talking about this issue now for how many months?
I mean, it dominated a whole year.
Right. I mean, August, where all those town halls, it's now December, right? So it's It's phenomenal.
Quickly before you go,
Yes,
I know
sir.
you love this photo as much as I do. Can we bring
Let's
up
show
that
it
photo
again.
again? I don't know if
Let's
we can.
show it again.
Chuck Schumer and Ben Nelson. I don't know if we can get it up that quickly.
Well, it's on Politico.com.
Yeah.
My colleague Ben Smith and Carrie Budoff-Brown have an incredible story about the unlikely story of Chuck Schumer going hunting in Nebraska with Senator Ben Nelson, shooting down pheasants. And not just that, but
There it is.
Senator Schumer's wife also riding around on the back of an ATV in the
Unbelievable.
fields of Nebraska. It's an amazing sort of story, and it's a great piece on Politico. So please check it out.
Jonathan Martin of Politico, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Happy holidays.
Shane. Happy holidays.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year. That does it for this edition of Top Line. Be sure to click us on again next week because we're wishing you all a happy holiday. And check us out at twitter.com/thenote. Happy holidays.